if I allow you to?
It's going.
It is? Okay, great.
I
Okay,
got it.
okay, thank you.
And it says it's live on Facebook.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Yay. All right. So good afternoon. Welcome to this month's master course where we're going to be talking about sponsorship and cash flow and event magic. And I'm really thrilled because I believe that each and every one of you is leaving money on the table. And this is an amazing way that you can not only attract funds, but also attract partners without giving up debt, without giving up equity, and really leverage this to grow your business. So those of you that know, I've produced over 400 events, and in the process, I've been able to do raise tens of thousands of dollars in sponsorship, but I've also raised capital, raising millions of dollars in sponsorship. I just realized I didn't do our quick check-in, so I'm just going to do a quick overview, and then we'll do our quick check-in. And so this is an instrument that you don't have to be a nonprofit to do. And a lot of people have this belief that in order to get sponsors, you have to be a nonprofit or you have to have a big cause. And I'm hoping today that I inspire each one of you to look at how you can implement this in your business and take action steps to move forward to do that. I'm really excited that Dale's here because a piece that we've been working on now at the Business Acceleration Network is this hybrid sponsorship that I also get to share with you that is really powerful and creates even more of a win-win-win with that and bigger chunks of funding, because a lot of times when we, you know, I know in the beginning when I was doing sponsorship, it was like $250 and $1,000 and $5,000, but there are people that are sponsoring events just like the Super Bowl and getting tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars. So that's my intention today. Let's go ahead and do a quick check-in. And I'd love to hear, you know, if there's any good news, and also, is there a piece that you're hoping to cover in your business about sponsorship or events? So Dr. Trish, would you like to go first?
Sure. Can you hear me? On a different computer today. So, well, just hi everybody. I couldn't get here the last couple of weeks because it's just been so busy, but things are going well. And I'm just interested to hear what you have to present today. So nothing real, you know, new to throw out there this moment. Just interested to hear what you have to say.
Beautiful. So I'm just going to plant the seed, Dr. Trish, that as you do this retreat every year, I would love to be, wouldn't it be great to have part of it funded through sponsorship?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Regina, are you able to do a quick check-in?
Yes, hopefully my internet doesn't keep crapping out. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can.
Okay, awesome. I am very, very happy. This morning I did a soul language, I guess you could say intro to soul language with the founder, Jennifer Urizio, and it was great. It was about 20 minutes long. I posted it in the chat and also in the group. And I'm so happy to finally be able to articulate and share what soul languages does, because I've had a lot of people ask me, and it's been wonderful because it's able to help me clarify. And what it does is helps people connect with their soul language. So just like we speak English and Russian and French, your soul has a language too. So if you'd like to learn your language, let's talk. Happy to help.
Beautiful. And is there anything around today's topic that you are interested in learning more or stands out for you?
Yeah, I'm doing a lot more speaking now and getting on to podcasts and speaking. Excited to be on Dr. Trisha's show soon in March. So anything I can do to now start making money speaking is exciting. So, and raising capital, I'm excited about that too, because I know there's a lot of opportunities to support one another. And so I'm excited to learn that.
Beautiful. All right. Thank you, Regina, for being here. David.
Hi, in terms of sponsorship, I'm actually working with a client, a nonprofit foundation, and we're working actually on their sponsorship packages because he's got multiple offerings or multiple targets. So yeah, any information is always helpful. Looking forward to it.
Beautiful. Thank you, David. And David, you've actually been a sponsor. So you've used marketing dollars to invest in sponsorship. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And thank you.
Before I go any further, I have to apologize for my behavior last night. It's one of those situations where politics, liquor, and emotions, and my emotions specifically, don't mix very well. And I apologize if I offended anyone. And I know I offended myself when I realized what happened, but I apologize. I'm sorry. It won't happen again.
We love you, David. Dale, would you like to go next and then Kathy? We're doing a quick check-in.
Yeah, insofar as 2020 is concerned, you know, I think it's a new year in so many ways. It's a leap year, and that has a significance as well. And you know, it's really wonderful, I think, when after you've been sharing for so long, that there's a new way, perhaps a better way, or a new and improved way. Better sometimes not well received, but you finally have somebody, more importantly, some organism, in this case, an organization, that finally gets it and applies that stem cell to their DNA. It's really exciting to see how that begins to, you know, birth and grow up, and to be a part of what I've experienced as a small, like a homeowners association you guys have and Business Acceleration Network in the last few months, to actually have a real manifested, new and improved sponsor / membership type program is exciting. So to be a part of that and help be able to answer any compliancy or tax or cash flow, you know, planning type logistical issues. You know, those are going to be real concerns. How do I account for that? How do I record keep for that? What are my transparency and audit and disclosure requirements? There's a lot to cover. It doesn't mean you get off scot-free because you don't have the traditional regulatory channel to go through. We still have those higher responsibilities here too, but we have them for a higher purpose. And I'm honored to share this morning when Shannon said this was the topic to come on and field any of those questions or concerns you guys may have, and make a recording for austerity purposes that we can begin to share with others, both for and not for profit alike. You know, there's a new game in town. You don't have to know all the rules. You know, the water's fine, come on in. You don't know how to swim, we'll teach you. I'm really liking playing here, so glad to be here this morning. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Kathy.
Well, of course, this is near and dear to my heart because I have 3 books coming out and trying to get this all figured out on my own. Heck, I never even thought I'd run a business. So it's a lot to learn and a lot to soak in all at one time. I was just telling people how overwhelming it is at times to have your brain going in 10 different directions at the same time. So anyway, I'm ready to learn. Thanks.
Great, and I'm glad you're here. Beautiful.
May I just?
Yes.
Kathy, I couldn't help but to notice, you know, the number of, and I guess the theme of Facebook during the Super Bowl. There's a group for this and a group and a group and a group and a group for every little thing under the sun. And this really speaks to the specificity of your type of demographic, and I think as a group and as a potential membership worldwide. It is very exciting, and glad to see you here this morning to kind of get that nebulous idea. How does that apply? It's just a group that now not just has a purpose, but you can now take on, think of it as a earned income strategy with which to pick up where the VA and other types of, I'll just say NGOs or government agencies or other not-for-profits simply have left off. because their business model is to receive and really consume the seed that they've received, and only to find themselves broke next year. Your strategy is now, okay, thanks for the gift, and here's how we're going to multiply it, and this is what we're going to do about it, where no other organization really is stepping up and standing in the gap. So I'm excited for your model for sure.
She's going to make a difference. She already is.
I know.
Yeah, it's exciting. Okay, so one of the things I wanted to just share is some of the ways I feel like sponsorship, a lot of times we think of it as you have to have an event. And I just want you to know that I've used sponsorship even at a very young age. I was looking back going, oh my gosh, I was 20 years old. And I remember wanting to go to a conference as a participant. And I went and found a sponsor that actually shared with them. And I want you to hear some of the language of hey, I'm going to this event. I didn't say hey, it was a little more professional, but I'm going to this event. Here's some of the things that they're sharing. Here's some of the what's on the agenda. I know you're really busy and probably cannot participate, but what I'd love to do is go on your behalf, and I'd be willing to come back and share what was learned, what happened, and even discuss some strategies to help you implement some of this business. And I said, I would do a quick overview, and I'd spend about 3 or 4 hours with you. Now, this was like a $3,000 admission, and the individual said yes. So this is participating at an event, which was really powerful. Also, I shared with Kathy with my book. I wanted to, one of the things I've learned, and how many of you read Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill? If you haven't read the book, it just changes everything. It's really a game changer, because it's Andrew Carnegie came to America with pennies in his pocket, and he didn't understand how he could come here with pennies in his pocket and become a multimillionaire, and then everybody else could come here and some would struggle and not get beyond that. And so he hired Napoleon Hill to do a 20-year study of average people and wealthy people. And what he discovered was a lot of it was their thinking or their mindset in business. And so some of what he talks about is how to use other people's money to accomplish what you're doing. And this is really a strategy of what people do, and what the ultra wealthy do is they many times don't use their own money, they use other people's money. And what I love that Dale's brought to the table, and part of one of the things when I raised capital is you're giving up equity. There's a lot of things that really get people to stop and not raise capital. I mean, there's compliance, there's money, there's a lot of things that happen that could be another part of a job. But when you start looking at sponsorship, like I said in the beginning, it's no debt and no equity. So it's really could be a beautiful thing. So when you're using other people's money, a lot of times they want to see a plan. They want to know, what are you going to do and what's in it for them? How is this going to help them? So I found there's a number of reasons why people sponsor. And some of it is combined and some of it is not. I mean, there's a lot of people that will actually sponsor because they believe in what you're doing. They want to help you further your mission. There's been so many people, we've done fundraisers and raised money, and they've written anonymous, even though they're businesses in our community. They said, we want to be anonymous. We just want to help the cause. So, but we have to be able to give them the instrument or the vehicle to know, because a lot of times why we don't connect with people that just want to give is we don't ask. And we don't have the paperwork together. We don't have the documents together. We don't have that together. So a lot of times people believe in the cause and want to just give. I mean, it's really powerful. Another one is that they want to market. They know that you're doing something, and rather than go out and do it on their own, they want to ride on your skirt tails and leverage your efforts and join that journey and help you do that. So for example, Dr. Trish, you're doing all this publicity, you're doing all this marketing, you're doing all this Facebook Live, you're doing this retreat, and for you to say, thanks to my sponsor, blah 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 blah, it's so simple, and for them, it's just kind of piggybacking on what you do. The other piece is notoriety. Am I saying that correctly? Like they want the credibility. They want to be a part of something that makes them look good, right? To say, hey, I was a part of making Kathy get these books out in the world, and she's a Gold Star mom. And so there's a part where it actually makes them look good. So those are primarily the three things that I've seen people want to sponsor. Do you have anything else that you see other than that of why people want to sponsor?
To put numbers to it, sometimes from a customer acquisition cost,
Yep. Customers.
when you know, for example, that you have an event or you have a venue or you have a Rolodex, you have a Facebook group or some type of an audience, and you're allowing me to write a check to get highlighted for a moment. So much screen time. If you're NASCAR, you know where your logo is positioned on the car because of where the camera is, depending on if you're in the front of the race or the back of the race or passing somebody. You know, you get so much exposure. If I know, like a Super Bowl commercial, that half of the world is, watching TV at the moment, it's going to be watching that. It's going to cost a little bit more for that commercial, but the number of eyeballs that are watching, they know in marketing and advertising, it's just a numbers game. And whether it's actually called a sponsorship or not, sometimes just the cost to get in front of that many people to share your story is valuable.
Yeah, the client acquisition.
Yeah.
Perfect. Anybody else want to share maybe why they've sponsored and haven't mentioned? I know speaking kind of falls under that slot, which many sponsors have done, and I think that can be a great way. There's some due diligence, and if any of you are doing events, whether you're participating, sponsoring, or speaking, this is a skill set that I love to talk about. I actually produced a conference here for a number of years, sold it, and then I acquired a conference. And when I acquired it, increased the revenue by 58%. And I also, in the first year, I also helped a lot of the existing exhibitors double and triple their income with the training. And because of that first conference, not only was I producer, I had 3 booths, and one was running, one was representing the organization, one was representing another product. Regina's actually worked with me on a number of these, so she knows, but so have learned a lot of how to be a speaker, how to be an exhibitor, how to be a participant, and really maximize what you're doing. So if you're looking at sponsoring an event, that's a whole other topic that I would love to be a part of what's going on. So when you're making that decision, either drop it in our group, hey, I'm looking at doing this. I can talk to you about ways of negotiating it, what to say, what clauses to put in there, to make sure that you're covered. Because if, I have a friend that he'll pay 10, 20 grand to go and speak to, he's got his certain number of people and he does his due diligence, and that $10,000 investment, he's been able to turn it into 6 figures. And even Orly has said, look, I've paid this and got this out. So that it can be a very powerful instrument to attracting clients and building your fans and that piece.
If I could.
Yes.
One other thing that may not be obvious, but it's worthwhile noting that anyone that we know in the group that may have kids getting ready to go off to college, scholarships are a form of sponsorship. Yes. And if kids were taught the methods by which, mom and dad can't write off a college or, tuition, corporations can. I'll give you this, subject to these conditions. I need you to come work for me after you graduate, or while you're in school, you're going to be an intern, so on and so forth. There's a lot of creative ways that kids can go to school today to get a higher education and do well in the world without going into the debt that they're all talking about right now. And it comes down to this notion of sponsorship. Somebody sees value in who you are, your vision about what you want to go accomplish and do in the world. And even if it is self-serving, somebody's going to have a way to legitimately write it off and send you on your way. And so, all of the elements of casting a vision and having a mission and how you're going to get there are still required. This isn't just, hey, write me a check. This is not a gift. This is a legitimate business expense in many cases. And so how that's accounted for is different, but it applies to both young and men and women today, not just the business setting that we may be talking more specifically here.
Yeah, because just what I said in the beginning about somebody gave me the $3,000 to attend that event, that would be like a scholarship.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter even if you're a student, but I love what you're saying. Let's send these kids to college without debt.
Imagine that.
Which would be really good. So there's some key pieces here when you're doing, and this is kind of where people get a little bit stuck, but I'm telling you with technology and what we have right now is what am I going to offer? What am I going to give in exchange? What am I going to do for this person? And so the first thing to do is look at what is your plan, because a lot of times what you're already doing is going to be pretty sufficient. So if you're writing a book and you're going to put them inside, like you're already writing a book, you can add some pages in there. You know, if you're already doing an event, if you're marketing in a certain way. So first you want to look at, and I tell people, do a mind dump of all of the possible marketing pieces that are going to happen. Maybe you're speaking somewhere. Kathy, you might be speaking at multiple places before you launch your book. So really get clear on what marketing am I doing, and what marketing am I willing to share in that with somebody else that I'm going to bring in. You know, how will I be able to let them piggyback or ride my skirt tails or participate with me? I one time had a client who was doing, there was like an 86-year-old lighting conference. He does LED lighting or electrician conference. And the booths were like $12,000. And it was for 2 days, you know, Steve Crimmy over in your area. And so we were looking at ways, I mean, he had the money, but I'm like, why spend all that money when you can leverage and bring in other partners? Now you do have to look at the conference rules and stuff like that, but he was able to go out and look at who could contribute $1,000 that would love to be in front of these people. And we just co-branded a banner. We put out some co-branded flyers, any of the marketing we did with him. So maybe there's a trade show that you're participating in too, to where it's you can bring in sponsors and have them collaborate with you on those expenses. So my vision today is I want to inspire you guys to look at where are you spending money now, and how can you partner with people so that it's not all on you, and it's shared expense, shared reward. And that's one of the things that you say a lot at KCT. It's like shared expense, shared reward, because you're all doing things, and imagine having that piece come together. So it was really great. This $12,000. I mean, I think he got like $4,000 or $5,000. It wasn't a huge amount, but that's enough to where it had an impact, and he could use that money in other areas of what he's doing. So once you get clear on what is it that I'm doing, you start looking at that list and seeing, I like to look at what's going to cost me something to do, right? So for example, with our membership, we give tickets, and I have hard costs for meals. So I have to you have to identify, are there hard costs, and what are those hard costs? You want to really get clear on your budget up front. If you're going to bring in a partner and they're going to get something and it costs you money, you just want to know so that as you're figuring out your packages, you can include that in your thinking. Are you going to be paying a commission? Because I always suggest that it's really great when you're doing sponsorship to give people the opportunity to share in the reward for introductions. So make sure you put that in there. There's going to be things like adding a logo to a website. That's not really, unless you have a web person that costs a lot of money, that's not going to cost you a lot of money. And that's something that's going to be fairly easy. So you want to look at, once you've done that, you want to look at the budgeting of each item and what that will cost. Even if it's $5 to hire somebody to outsource to update your website, you want to know that up front. Then the other piece, so once you've got your list down, you've got your items down, then I always sit and ask myself, what else can I do that I may not be thinking about that would help me further my vision? So for example, I really wanted to get billboards here and TV here. So I met with Spectrum TV, what used to be, I don't remember what the old title was, but I met with them. I got together a whole marketing budget. I found out how much the commercials were. And I'm like, I want to be on TV. So once I got all those numbers together, I was able to include that marketing expense in my sponsorship and actually include that commercial TV items in the sponsorship for them as one of their benefits for being on board. We actually had one person pay for the entire billboard, and it was promoting everything we were doing, and they just got a small piece of it. So you want to be looking at what, if money wasn't an issue, what would I like to do? Kathy, it would be so great to hire somebody like Tammy Patzer to get you booked on major TV, right? And so you might get proposals from Tammy, you might get proposals from other pieces, so that you can include those in your sponsorship package. So first is, what am I going to do? And then what do I want to do? If money wasn't an issue, what do I want to do? And get those budgets together and figure out what it is. So we would have, right now, if you look at ours, we have 3 levels of sponsorship. You want at least 3 levels of sponsorship. We've had upwards of 5 sponsorship. One was a billboard, one was a bus, one, you can have specialized things. One could be lunch, like David, I know we've had you sponsor lunch before. You can look at what different options are, but you want at least 3, and I would say no more than 5. It gets way too intense to have that much. The simpler, the better. I feel like you want to contribute something here.
Yeah, a simple little line item for those that were a part of the last conference in Orlando. I don't know about y'all, but y'all know me to really appreciate well-prepared food, drink.
He's a foodie.
Coffee. But I invited Shannon to consider, if it was possible, I want to know what the line item specifically was for coffee, because I can't stand Starbucks coffee. So I want to be able to provide the coffee for the next venue. So I need to know how many participants are coming, how often, how many cups of coffee, and all that other kind of stuff, because I'm telling you, we got a client who would love to write the check to get this coffee in front of a lot of people that appreciate really good shade-grown organic coffee. Only 3% of the coffee produced in the world is organic. This is some of the best stuff that your lips will ever taste if you're a coffee drinker. So when you can break it down to the individual level, you never know who might say, well, I can't write the check for $500, but I do have the coffee to cover the cost of the coffee during your event. Simple little example. Hopefully that applies.
That's great.
By the way, I don't know who else is doing any conferences. If you haven't tasted coffee, just let me know. I'll send you a bag. This is good stuff.
You're going to send them a bag?
Sure.
Oh my gosh. All right, guys, if you drink coffee, take them up on it. Oh, look, Kathy. Me.
Okay, good.
All right. So Kathy, if you text me your shipping information, I'll pass it on. And
I can't tell you how much money I spend at Starbucks. So if you've got something better, bring it on.
My desire is you'll never want to go back.
I'm a super duper gold member of Starbucks.
I hope you have a grinder, because it's a huge difference. But
Got it.
back to you.
So he also brought up another key piece is, what are things that could be in kind?
Yes.
What are things that you could do in kind exchanges? So if there's things that you need, let's say, Kathy, there's graphic design work for your cover. Now you want to be very, very particular in who you do in kind with. It's I can't emphasize enough, just because it's in kind doesn't mean that it's always the best route. So you want to still have them do proposals. You want to still see the work. You want to imagine you're going to cut them a check, right? But there may be pieces of your event or of your book that let's say, Kathy, somebody's dealing with a trauma, somebody's dealing with grief, somebody's having a challenge, and they would love to get some support, and they would be willing to do the cover. David, I know you and I are, there's some in-kind things that we're talking about. It's like, we need marketing, you write it. So in-kind can be a great way to do sponsorship, but you do want to treat it like you're writing a check. You want to absolutely get clear. And I love, Dale and what they do at KCT. And hi, Thomas. We're going to do a quick check-in so you can say hi to everybody, because they really have a great process and due diligence process to make sure that the in-kind is successful. Because I don't know about you, but if you've ever done in-kind, and notice how we're saying in-kind instead of barter, because in-kind is non-taxable and barter is taxable. And that's a big difference.
Language is important.
Yeah, so for events, I don't know if you guys know this. If it's a ticket, there's sales tax. If there's registration, there's not. So when you're doing particular things, it's really key. And it was so fascinating when we learned this. I sent my team off to a QuickBooks training. There was some IRS guy there here locally at the college. And when we learned that strategy, it was like, I'm never saying tickets again. I mean, I have to be careful. Sometimes I'll say it. I'm like, go register, go register. So in this, in-kind is non-taxable and barter is taxable. Even though there's no money exchange, there is tax. Okay, Thomas, can I put you on the spot just so you can say hi? We just did a quick check-in of, we're talking about sponsorship and money. Is there anything you wanted to learn today? But I want people to see. I don't know if you can show your smile. I know your internet's not good for your.
One of my key partners for many, many years. Love this man. He's up in Minneapolis area, and he's freezing his tail off. So for those of us in Florida,
I'm not. I am cold, but I'm not freezing my tail off.
okay.
Trying to stay inside. Oh, I apologize for not. I thought it was at 11, so I missed the first 15 minutes. But I wanted to share something that I became aware of, and this has even preceded my involvement with KCT, in terms of in-kind services, because in-kind services, I mean, it's just the opportunities are limitless, or they're only limited to your ability to think outside the box. But I know a gentleman who is a business coach, been successful for a number of years. He's an author, and he had a relationship with a CEO of a gentleman who oversaw, I think it was called Business Inc. magazine. I don't know if Business Inc. magazine is still in business or not, but anyhow, Business Inc. Wanted the coaching from this gentleman. And this guy's typical coaching for, I think the 3 or 4 days was like $35,000. So it wasn't a small amount of money. And the guy says, well, what would you like in exchange? For that, he said, what I want in exchange is a piece of paper. He's like, you want a piece of paper in exchange for $35,000 of coaching? He said, yeah. He said, you know what piece of paper I want? He said, I have no idea. He said, I want the back page of your magazine. That magazine at that time was selling that back page for $200,000. Well, it didn't cost them $200,000 to give them the back page. What's the cost of a piece of paper? Practically nothing. So they designed whatever it was that he was, the offer that he had was probably to his book or his coaching, but he said that was one of the best exchanges I ever made. So, all his knowledge in an intense weekend in exchange for a piece of paper in a very popular magazine that would have cost him $200,000.
That's a great analogy.
And I imagine too, the language is important, because the way it was introduced, he wasn't saying the back page of the magazine so that his head went there. It was speaking to the piece of paper. I mean, that sounds easy. I mean, once you got the first yes of opting in, I like where you're going.
Yeah.
By the time you actually get to that, it's like, oh, well, yeah, I'm already psychologically committed to that exchange of value there. That's cool.
Yeah, and I don't remember all the details, but the magazine was probably 50 pages long or something, and maybe they added one more page. So I doubt if they gave up any ad revenue. They just added another page to the whole magazine spread. And like I say, it was I was just blown away when I heard that. I thought, wow, that's an incredible in-kind exchange. The value of what I have to give it away. And then receive something of value on the back end. It cost me literally nothing other than my time.
Bless you.
Well, I think it's something to be said too. Most of us in this country, we suffer from this disease of infobesity, obesity, stuffed obesity. We have more self-storage square feet than 100 times the next country in the world. We have more stuff, but most of us don't know what stuff we have, how much stuff we have, where our stuff is, how valuable it is, because we're only thinking in many times in case of ourselves. And when somebody shows up, we're often asking for money. Money may not be the one thing that we do have, but we do have a lot of stuff. If more folks got in the habit of asking for what they really want in stuff or service, as the case may be, or a combination of both, and if we were all more aware of how blessed we really are with what we already have, I think a lot of times we could actually get more stuff done. But just by being smarter and a little bit more consciously aware of how blessed we really are. And so I think we won't get into it here, but going forward as the new band membership rolls out, in addition to the old, it's not a replacement, but in addition to, we want to be able to be consciously aware to provide some coaching as to what are some of those other forms of equitable value, but not equity, non-balance sheet value that could be shared and somehow put together in an agreement where everyone can win in the shared expense, shared reward model. Because as Thomas just pointed out, for me to contribute my coffee cup might not be a big deal because I've already bought the coffee cup. But if you want a cup of coffee, you've got the beans, but you've got no cup. Good luck drinking it. But together we can share and have a great breakfast together. So stuff.
No. This is just so great because it brings up the whole marketing piece of sponsorship, and that's been really a catalyst and a great in-kind way to do it. Thomas, thank you for going there. And again, it goes down to the place where people miss their mark here is they don't get their paperwork together. They don't get you need, if I can't emphasize more, you need to get your packaging together of what you're going to deliver, and it can be in a brochure. It could be in a pitch deck where it's a PowerPoint, and then you have to have the actual order form that people can fill out and the agreement. So where there's over the last 4 or 5 years of doing the summit, I remember having people come through and, hey, I'm looking for these sponsorships, and I'm like, great, can I see your package? No, I don't have any. Hey, I'm trying to raise sponsorships. I'm really struggling. Great, can I see your package? I don't have it. So it's like, if you don't have this initial piece that we went through together, you're not what I've heard you say, you got to get ready to receive. And so that's really a key piece. So the media is huge. Dr. Trish, every single one of you have a service. Kathy, including you, Regina, all of us have gifts and talents that we can contribute. And I have gotten tens of thousands of dollars in media exchanges. I remember going to Miami, an FM radio station, and my highest sponsorship was $10,000. And they came back and said, yes, we're going to sponsor you. And they gave me $55,000 in sponsorship, in-kind exchange. It was incredible, because they saw what they had. They wanted to be a part of the vision. They wanted all these commercials. They wanted it. I mean, it was, to me, blew me away. And so Dr. Trish, I'm going to pick on you a little bit. There's probably people in your community that have magazines or have radio shows that are sick right now. And they might be willing to, feature you, do certain things. So thinking out of the box of how can there be some sort of exchange for publicity can be huge. Now you want to, and part of why we're doing Media Magic and that whole piece of what's there, you want to make sure that the marketing is well put together. I'm a big advocate of articles before ads. Articles before ads, because articles, people get to know you, but be looking at how are there any in-kind exchanges that you might be able to do with the media, because they'll do it all day long. Like he said, it doesn't cost that much to add an extra page or to print, and each one of you has that capability. All right, I'm going to do a quick check-in, and then I'm going to share some of the things that the hybrid of sponsorship and where we're going, and hopefully inspire each of you to think about how I'm going to actually screen share and show you what's possible with sponsorship at a new level. So let me just do a quick check-in. Kathy, how are you doing with everything? Any comments, questions, feedback?
No, it's very interesting. I've been taking notes. So.
Okay, good. We love that. David, and then Dr. Trish. Oh, you're muted, David. I think that's a.
Yeah, I'm fine. You know, one of the things that with Vera is little lessons of actually how to put these types of things together, because talking about it, you can picture it, but you can't really see, touch, feel, whatever. So I think that's, these are all really valuable pieces of information. You know, and now we're capturing it. So maybe we could splice something together and make, you know, a little.
Perfect. You got it, David.
I need to add something to you, David. In the beginning, you said you were working with a nonprofit. This is really, really important for those that are structured as not-for-profits. I've said it once, I'll say it again. Of the 1.7 million or so nonprofits in the United States, 80% of them don't make more than $2 million.
Right.
7% of them don't make more than $500,000.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them spend their time chasing the dollar, as it were. So this is an instrument with which to attract resources that their for-profit counterparts can use. The key thing that makes it work is the mindset has to change, not the model, or I should say the organization, but the mindset, because the whole idea of receive without multiplication, without an earned income strategy, this doesn't work. If somebody's buying something, prepaying in advance, pre-purchasing like a crowdfund type of a thing, I want this little widget, I want this little water bottle, I want whatever I want. Somebody needs to be able to deliver on that, as it were. And so if that happens, that could potentially put you in a really, really right position to be able to help this organization out of, next to broke or broke, and move into a little bit more of generously overflowing on all occasions. And right now, everybody knows what the Girl Scouts are doing. I've gone through a half a dozen boxes. But here's the catch. When I asked the Girl Scout and the troop leader how much in the way of Girl Scout cookies did they do annually, they couldn't answer the question. They don't know what they're doing, unfortunately.
Right. We teach entrepreneurism.
And they're teaching entrepreneurism. So the point is, a simple little thing of bake a cookie, put it in a box, share it with your local neighborhood can make a huge difference. And they're doing hundreds of millions of dollars a year, and everybody knows the Girl Scouts. That's just a good example where a Publix or a local supermarket doesn't cost them anything to allow them to come set up shop on the front for a good cause and have all that foot traffic exposure. Mm-hmm. So I'm a big fan of earned income strategies, particularly in the not-for-profit space. And Dr. Trish, I think some of what you're doing, particularly in healthcare, alternative wellness, and the like, there's a lot of potential there as well.
Yeah, listening to this, I'm quite excited. I need to understand more how to put it all together. But I mean, I have a podcast I do regularly. I have a webinar I do every month. That should be sponsored. That would be amazing. I also am connected to the University of New England College of Osteopathic Medicine, where I do continuing education units. They've reached out to me that they want me to start doing integrative medicine conferences, and we would need sponsorship to be able to keep the expense for the physicians and providers coming, down, if you will. But I have access to be able to get the CEUs for the providers, because I've had that connection for over a decade. And very well respected there. So it's just listening to this, it's like, wow, okay. I have to shift my thinking and understand how to put this into process.
Well, I think that's part of where you're going to show and tell, at least this model here. It's not a cookie cutter design in any sense. And when you're ready to go there, by all means, let's have a little band initiative and get behind you and explore that. I'd love to learn more.
Great. Thank you.
Beautiful. Regina, we're doing a quick check-in. Are you at a place of checking in?
Yeah, I'm over here with tissues, sort of. It's just, I'm good. This was great. I actually got a lot out of it and things I hadn't heard before. I'm not at a place. At least, it's funny because I just realized something. Yes, I'm totally in a place to do events. Duh. I'm doing real estate events every week. We're doing lunch and learns, and so I have been actually getting sponsors. And it's funny when you're in the practice of something and you're just not conscious of it. You're just doing it automatically. So this is really good because I definitely think that there's languaging and really partnership, right? That's the key. What I'm getting is partnership and teamwork and getting people enrolled in a vision together. So this was good today.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thomas, just a quick check-in, anything that you?
No, nothing further from me.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to put in the chat room the older model, and I'm going to screen share here. And it's not older; it's something we're still using. But I just want to share with you what we're. Wow, why is that not coming up here? Oh, here's why. What we are, what you'll commonly see with sponsorship. So here's one of our online magazines that we did for Media Magic. Commonly, you'll see kind of, here's the call to action. Let me just make this very large so hopefully you can see it. Information about the sponsorship, what they'll get, and then it's much easier for people to, hold on here. Can you guys see this grid here? This grid is what people really like. They're able to see what they get and what they don't get. So this is pretty powerful to outline those key pieces and for people to make comparisons and make decisions based upon comparisons. This is, and as I mentioned, I've had people, we had one sponsor here, he's like, I just want to support your mission. I don't want any, I don't want any stage time. I don't want any marketing. So I want you to know that, that there are people out there that will get behind your cause and actually give. So this is a key piece, and all of you guys have that as a sample. This is from our last Media Magic. The next thing I want to show you is what we're doing now, and this is the shared expense, shared reward. Now we still have the old one for events only, but this is a really powerful vehicle that what we call brings on partners at a whole new level. And so ideally, and it's kind of like raising capital, but it's not, because we're not raising capital. We're staying out of that jurisdiction. But this is where we've bundled things like membership, VIP days, sponsorship. And the cool part here that I'm so excited about is the shared reward. And the shared reward is where you allow people to give you money and then participate in the success of what you're doing and participate in how that's going. So some of you may be saying, well, I'm not in revenue yet. Why would somebody do this? I have to tell you, I had the opportunity through Thomas and Dale and got presented with an opportunity that once I looked at their plan and I looked at where they were going, it was like they said you can do some in-kind services and actually get paid on where they're building and any gross receipts that come in. And it was like, well, that's a no-brainer. like even if it's a year or two down the road, if I could just participate in some of the money that comes in, then there's a chance that I could absolutely multiply what's happening. So as a for-profit organization, one of the key pieces that we know is essential. So if you're an LLC or a C Corp, or you do this type of sponsorship where you're sharing in the rewards, there needs to be some sort of hourly contribution. This is what makes it different than an investment and makes it SEC, and there's certain compliance and filings. When somebody actually volunteers and you get to determine what that is, that means that they're an active participant in becoming a partner. So Dale, is there anything you want to add about the hybrid? Because this is something you've been doing for a while. And when he introduced this and I first thought, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the way to go when you want to build community, you want to build movement. Kathy and Regina and David, I know you're doing things too, but Kathy, you are, like I see you impacting tons of people. I see you creating that hub for people to come and really shift in how they're doing. Regina, I know you're on a mission to create inner peace. And I know that there are people that want to be a part of that movement, that want to probably partner with you, but they just need the vehicle to be able to do that.
Yeah, so I think one of the more common vehicles that everybody has probably either participated in themselves or heard of somebody who has is multi-level marketing or direct sales. It's not always that these products are the cheapest, but because they've taken an alternative approach to marketing that they'd otherwise have to pay for a lot of advertisement, a lot of outside, people that don't care. They just as soon take that expense and shift that in their model and share that with the people that participate at one or more different levels, as it were. And so this is a form of that. This is not to say that this is multi-level in any sense. This is just to say, instead of me having to go out and raise $100,000 to buy ads, to buy marketing, to buy this, that, and the other thing, simply shift that to the model to say, hey, if you show up and you do X, Y, and Z, if you do your part to write an email series, if you do your part to do some website and graphics and do the social media and and we've covered our $100,000 worth of marketing expense, well, to the degree then that we all can go produce something of value, we now share in this particular community barn raise. Everybody in a barn raise, to use that Quaker metaphor, understands the economic value of the barn. Everyone has a vested interest in getting involved, even in the women and kids. And they might be swinging a hammer, but they're baking. They're keeping the guys on the roof fed, and the kids with nails or supplies, as the case may be. So again, it's getting creative with the business model, and this does not mean in any sense that it forgives the business owner or the partners, as the case may be, an excuse to not know your numbers. If anything, you've got to really, really know your numbers. Because if the financial assumptions cannot be tested, they can't be trusted. And there's no reason why to partner in kind, write a check, even be a service provider in an organization that doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell of surviving.
Yeah, and so that brings up a couple of things. Is with this also comes that level of transparency with your numbers, and being able to share that. And what I love about what you shared is let's say, Kathy, for you, for example, it may not be gross receipts of everything. It may be for a year of the book launch, or maybe a certain event that you do. So you can actually pick and choose what pieces you want to contribute to them. So if you can see in this one, like it's based upon BAN events, Business Acceleration Network events. So it's not everything that we do, but it's like we're doing 7 events this year, and out of the 7 events, within 30 days, I'm going to go and all the sponsors, all the tickets, all the sales that happen in the event, membership, anything that happens at the event, that's event related, I'm going to produce financials and I will pay out on a pool of that. So I love that piece of it. And the other piece that I found really attractive is the buyback. So have you ever worked with somebody where once they get in, you don't want to work with them anymore?
Yes.
So what's beautiful is it's still a win-win. So let's say we have a member that comes in and they come in at the middle level, and it's a year down the road and we realize that they're really just not a good fit. Well, within that first 12 months, we can buy them out at 120%. So they'll get their money back, and then we can get them, have them get out. Also, if it's after that first year, then they get twice their money back. So it's really a win-win-win. They're still getting their deliverables, but if for some reason, that felt really good for me to know that because sometimes you don't know, like things happen in people's lives. They may not be a good fit with your mission, Regina, David, in any of you, what you're doing. And so I love that piece of being able to choose at any point to say, hey, here's your money. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're going in different directions. Or Kathy, if you know that you got picked up by Oprah, and I mean, I would probably share, and I'm not judging people who wouldn't, but you may say, hey, this is a big home run. Let me double their money. They'll be happy and move on. So that's another piece. So I'm going to open up for questions now. We got a few minutes.
A quick comment in terms of, Kathy, I know you've got 3 books, I think, that you're working on. In this example here that Shannon just shared, you've got option A, B, and C, 3 options. Maybe somebody gets behind you on 1 book. Maybe they get behind you on the 2nd book. Maybe they get behind you on the 3rd book. Maybe they get behind you on all of the books. And to the point, you never really know which book's going to hit, but it's not unlike having an established record with a publisher that gives you an advance, a draw on future publishing and sales of the book and what have you. Something like that could apply in your situation, I think, very, very easily, as just one example.
Awesome. All right, David, we'll start with you. Comments, questions, adding, closing remarks.
Nope, I'm good to go.
Awesome. What was your biggest takeaway? Can I ask you that then?
Just hearing again what the steps you should be doing when you're either sponsoring or attending an event and that sort of thing. So that's my takeaway, is a refresher course. So.
Beautiful. All right, Thomas, any contributions?
Well, I'll just say that I have real life experience when it comes to royalty reward sharing agreements. And I'll share this without divulging who the individual was, but I have a relationship with an individual who's in manufacturing in Laramie, Wyoming. And when I became aware of what he was about, and because it resonated with what I'm about, I went out and I gave a week of my time to serve him, to do whatever it is he needed to have done in his shop to help him be more successful at that time. And short time after that, I made a contribution of a certain amount of money in exchange for 1% of his gross sales for the next 7 years.
Yay.
That's just an example of what relationship can lead to. But you have to be willing to give first. It's predicated on your ability to give what you have today. And I didn't have to give money, but I was able to give a week of my time. And I got to really know the guy and see where his heart was. And so that's the beauty of having meaningful relationships.
Thank you, Thomas. And those of you that don't know, Thomas is incredible at sales. He's done very, very, very high ticket sales. Has an incredible background in the medical industry, distribution, and just overall, I know you've dealt with tons of initiatives and projects, so you're coming with lots of wisdom to share. Thank you for being here.
Happy to be here.
Kathy, and then we'll go Regina.
Okay. I would be more than willing to do all of the above if I only knew how. I would love to have people sponsor my books. There are different things in every book that people could sponsor. I mean, the first book is totally different from the second book, and the third book will be totally different from both books. The first 2 books, there are so many things in these books that people could be interested in sponsoring, but how to do this is totally beyond my capabilities at this point. My days are consumed with writing the final book. And like I said earlier at the beginning of this thing, my head is going in 10 different directions. And on top of this, I'm supposed to be training this damn poodle to be a service dog. And it's like, he's got to go to class tonight. And another week has gone by that we have not practiced one damn thing.
Oh no.
And I have to go tonight. It's like, I just don't, there's not enough hours in the day to do all this stuff. So I would love to have somebody, I'd love to do this if I just knew how, and if I had somebody to help me do this, it would be wonderful. So there's where I'm at.
Awesome. So Kathy, I love you. I think that it is owner training. I
If
actually,
somebody can jump on my coattails, because I think this is going to go really far. If you want to ride, jump right on. Just help me get there.
so Kathy, can I give you one piece of homework that would be the first step?
Absolutely.
So the first step would be to start that list. If you said you have a lot of ways that people could sponsor. So start creating that list of what you could actually give people, where you see those sponsorship opportunities. Look at the magazine that I put up here and see if there's anything there. Just start with that list and start with what would cost or not cost. And then once you get that, then we can sit down together. I know that this is something that KCT does, and they're helping me, but that would be the first step, is to identify what's possible. And then we'll come together and we'll start helping you develop the package, but just get that list first, and then we'll go from there.
Plus,
Yeah.
that specifically, that includes, where are you currently investing your time? So anything to, on a daily basis, if you could start journaling, from the time you wake up to the time you lay down, not just the hard costs for what it takes or the tasks of what needs to get done, but also the time, and your estimate on terms of, of all of the things it takes to publish a book. I don't know if there's 50 things. Of the things that you have done, great. But the things that aren't done, they're work in progress. What is the time to completion? In other words, still left, in your best guess. And what is the cost to completion, in some cases, at your best guess? That's going to reveal a lot about what your near-term obligations will be in terms of cash flow.
Yep.
And the bigger picture of what it's going to take to actually get it done. And you might find that certain things relative to cost and time is not the best investment of your time. That could be an opportunity for somebody to come in and help you, as the case may be. But until you have an inventory of still kind of like where you are in your journey, it's kind of hard to evaluate, how am I doing with my investment of my time and my talents relative to my journey.
Right.
Okay.
Are those things that you feel comfortable saying yes to?
Yeah, that sounds like one more thing to fill my head with, but I'll give it a try.
Yeah.
Well, think of it as an inventory first. Don't analyze it first, because the next analysis is going to be, of all of those things, for example, which are the things that you don't like? Absolutely, just don't like. I don't want to touch them. I would pay for somebody to do that.
Yeah.
Those are the kind. We need to discover those gems, get them off your plate, so that you love showing up every day, and you're excited, and you're passionate, and all of the stuff that you just don't like to do. Somebody's got an app for that, hopefully.
That'd be great if they did. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Regina.
Hi again. Yeah, my biggest takeaway was just reminding myself that I do events, and maybe not on as big of a scale at the moment, but yeah, it was a great conversation. It was valuable. And I guess the biggest takeaway was collaboration, and back to the partnership, like working together as a team, and I think reverse engineering it, right? Finding out what they want and asking them, like, and this is also just in sales in general, is anytime we're doing something, find out what the other person wants and needs and create that for them. And then you're literally delivering it to them. They can't say no, because that's what they asked for.
Yeah, so I'm going to piggyback on that real quick. I do that after I've done my packages. So every sponsorship is absolutely custom, Regina. It really is.
Right. That's, yeah.
Yeah, but I have to get a list of what I'm offering, so I can at least have the conversation first of what am I willing to deliver. Because then I can sit down and go, okay, David, he needs stage time. Okay, David, he needs, you know what I mean? So you still can customize it, but getting clear on what you're willing and able to do and what the cost is, I would start there, just so that you're clear on what you're willing to do. Because somebody may say, oh, Regina, if you can do this, this, and this, then you're going to go in a direction that may not be for your highest good.
Right.
We want to be the queen of what's happening is all I'm saying there.
Yep.
Awesome. So I think that's it.
That's all, folks.
We're gonna do, David, we already have some other sponsorship, but yes, that's gonna be a part of the Vera curriculum. David, I'm gonna stop the recording real quick. David, if you wanna stop the recording on your